Monthly meeting.
Okay.
Welcome. You would silence your cell phones or your analog if you've got a rotary dial. The agenda is the same one we've been using for 27 years. Treasurer's report. To keep it simple, we got money. We're trying to spend it, but we keep finding improved technology for half the price of the original technology. So we get twice the computer for half the cost. Thanks to your hunger for donuts, we contributed $387.05 to Grafton Food Pantry. They do appreciate our help. Membership, as of the end of May, 1580. There were 211 yet to renew membership. And in case you're wondering, an email was sent in May by Joe Quinn, our membership director, to all of those that needed to renew in 23. If you did not get the email, first check your spam or junk file. And second, if you didn't get it, that means you're still good, at least for this year, and probably for another year or two. Not sure if you need to, excuse me. If you're not sure if you need to renew your membership, come to the lab and we can check it out. Before we go further, I'm going to ask John Sterling to come up and give us a review as far as the nominating committee is concerned.
In June, we're required to elect new officers for the next year. And I've got 4 candidates for the 4 officer positions. For treasurer, Howie Huckstead. Could you stand up, Howie? He's the one that collects your money for dues. That's all right, close enough, Howie. For vice president, we have Teresa Palicki. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is.
Hiding in the back of the room.
Got her. For secretary, we've got Eileen Gerald. Eileen right here. And for president, Bill Tell.
Thank you.
I will now accept any nominations there might be from the floor. I don't see any, so. So for the 4 candidates that I listed, vote yay for yes, nay for no.
Yay!
They're elected.
Yes, I took a deep breath. Computer Club Matters. We meet on the second Thursday of the month here in Drendel, 8:30, 9:30, coffee at 9. The lab will continue to be open Monday and Thursday mornings from 9 to noon, and it will be open after our meeting this morning. The Apple group meets the first Tuesday of the month in the morning, and the photography group meets on the first Wednesday of the month in the evening. Next month, July 13th, is our meeting. The topic, feature presentation, will be artificial intelligence, what it is and how to use it. We have a new director of communications, Frank Leonardi. Is Frank here, I hope? Here he is. Thank you, Frank. And a new iPhone instructor, Eric Craig, who also runs our video here at the meetings. Thank you both. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes. It's part of the subject for next month's meeting. Classes. Classes are free for members, no registration required, just show up. Remember to bring your passwords in case you need to access your device for the class. It's very important in the Android class and the iPhone class, where they're both very much interactive. Classes for this month, the first Android class already happened. Another Android class on next Monday. A new one, Fun with Facebook, coming up on the 13th. Word and Excel. We often get requests for how do I do better, how can I do better using Excel. This is one example, one typical application for Excel. And then toward the end of the month, the very popular, always in demand, cutting the cord. Last time we offered it, I think, what, with 37 in attendance? We filled the room. No classes July or August. Like the public school teachers, our guys and ladies and gentlemen get time off. We'll resume classes in September. Community Matters, the Sun City Board of Elections. Speaking of elections, candidate packets will be available July 1st. There's a town hall meeting on the 22nd featuring State Senator Dave Syverson. There's a fun walk on this weekend, the 10th. The golf cart decorating is the 27th. There is no golf cart parade this year due to lack of interest. For those who want to learn more about how to use the Sun City website, there's a class on the 20th and 22nd by Sandy Oslins, and you go to the community desk to sign up for that. Now, for our featured presentation, I've invited a couple of gentlemen, younger generation, they know bits and bytes, to come in and give us a presentation on a couple of aspects on how the village uses computers. I don't think they're going to talk about how to fix your parking tickets or your water bill, but there are other things involved that will be of interest to us all, I believe. Introducing Jane Williams, the GIS, and that stands for Geographical Information Systems. And Steve, it is Zonta, who is a utility superintendent. Gentlemen, you're on.
Thank you very much. Good morning, y'all. Really appreciate you inviting us to discuss some of the things that we do. Sorry about that. Lead in here. Again, my name is James Williams. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting us this morning to discuss what we do with the Village of Huntley in regards to GIS and the SCADA monitoring system for our wastewater and wastewater programs. And I want to begin just with sort of a little bit of rudimentary elements for what GIS is. It's a spatial system that creates and manages and analyzes maps and data. We, particularly at the village of Huntley, some of the things that it helps us do, and certainly it's always an evolving type of thing, is it helps us to improve communication and efficiency in deciding, well, which projects should move forward, how best to serve the public, and just generally kind of housekeeping around the village to make sure that we're providing services as efficiently as we possibly can. How GIS is used is just in that manner, identifying problems, monitoring change, performing forecasting, and again, setting priorities and understanding trends for how best to move forward in an organized and efficient manner to, again, serve the public and also serve our members of staff and help them understand how best to perform their duties. Again, geographical information system takes maps, data, and you perform analysis and develop apps that do things that, like, for example, and I'll discuss this in just a moment, an app that that we're currently working on is assessing and inventorying our water services here in the village to make sure that we can identify where lead service pipes are and get those replaced with copper piping. Again, who uses GIS? I mean, it's everybody and anybody can benefit from the use of combining maps and data. Again, just sort of help with analyses and create applications that help you figure out where things are and how best to use resources efficiently. We have the village of Huntley has kind of a unique situation where we straddle the borders between McHenry and Kane County. So we use McHenry County GIS data and resources along with Kane County. And then GIS in the cloud, which is generally ArcGIS cloud data. And we combine that with Rupert Milkie as our third party. They kind of host our data and help us coordinate our efforts and set up our servers so that we can combine all of these things into what becomes these streams of mapping and data that create our the village's GeoCortex GIS platform. And you can go online to I'll skip ahead here a little bit. Just you can go online on our village's website, and perhaps if we have time, we can do just that. But our Huntley GIS system, our GeoCortex as it's referred to, and here's a map with our water, sanitary, and storm layers, kind of somewhat cluttered. The map on the right is are the same layers with structures, including hydrants, valves, and manholes removed. It's a little less cluttered. As I mentioned earlier, the applications that GIS produces, we utilize and have amassed on what is called the Huntley GIS Hub. And it takes all of those streams of data and creates sort of simplified versions of one or two particular features into one application. And so that you can analyze that a little bit more efficiently than, like I said, with the cluttered sort of GeoCortex that has everything sort of all mixed together. This sort of distills things into one simple application that you can use. And for example, that lead service inventory that we're doing around the village. There's no lead, the EPA made lead service and lead service lines in 1986. You weren't allowed to use them, construct residences or commercial developments with lead service, and really that was the sort of official demarcation for when that was sort of disallowed. But really, lead service had been out of favor for quite a bit of time before that. There are no lead services in any of the developments in Sun City, obviously, because that was all developed after 1998, 1999. It's really more the Old Town village that where there may be a concern, and we've identified a couple properties, and we'll work towards identifying those properties and then seeing what we can do to replace those lines with copper. Another application that on the village's hub site is the road rating system for determining the conditions of roads around the village, streets around the village. And the color coding is kind of green for good, red for bad, believe it or not. And then the zoomed in portion, I know this is difficult to read, but there's actually a number associated with between 0 to 100 of the condition of that particular segment of roadway. And the village's overall condition of roadways is about between just over 60. It has a rating of just over 60, a PCI, a pavement condition index of just over 60. And that's pretty much just about all you can hope for, and reflects a very robust and good condition of roadways. It also allows us to determine the condition of the road and based on the PCI, and then helps us determine which roads need to be replaced. It's not always the oldest road that needs to be replaced first. It's really a combination of age and obviously usage that figures into determining that PCI, and the overall average of just over, like I said, probably 60 is a pretty good benchmark for where we should be, and that's where the village is. But we always strive to be, better than the average bear. And fortunately, Huntley has been very fortunate in that we have been able to do quite a bit of that. This is our tree inventory. About 2 years ago, we hired a firm to come in here and do an inventory of all the parkway trees in the village. And now our tree app on the village's hub helps us track the maintenance, the pruning of those trees, the replacement of those trees, the very relatively few ash trees that still are around that we may want to remove and replace because of the emerald ash borer. And it gives us a cost. We can track these by streets, by neighborhood. And again, just a robust tool that before you had the inventory, obviously, you were at a disadvantage. You had somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 or 17,000 trees that you're trying to sort of track and get a handle on and know which ones have been trimmed and which ones need to be trimmed in the future. And this is done, again, gets us a handle on something that would be overwhelming otherwise. Our snowplow routes are also on the hub, and again, sort of similar to the tree app. This gives us an idea of the routes that the snowplows take, the number of passes they need to make, salt that is used on the roadways during the winter. Again, just one of those things that without GIS would be very, very difficult to track and keep track of otherwise. Our hub also includes a history of our capital improvement program and other apps, including where our traffic signals are located and the maintenance of those. The pavement dashboard, which I showed you, that includes that PCI, the pavement condition index that I showed you earlier. ADA compliance, crosswalks that meet ADA regulations for the tactile domes, the little pink pads, and also truck routes. And these are just a few of the applications that are on the village's hub that again help us track a myriad of elements throughout the village. I'm going to turn over the presentation to our water fellow here at the Village of Huntley, Steve Zonta, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have after the presentation. And again, I really appreciate your all's attention, and thank you again for inviting us to visit with you this morning.
Can you hear me? It's fine? No? My name is Steve Zanza. I'm the utility superintendent for the village of Huntley, and I'm going to be sharing this presentation with.
My name's Adrian Pino. I'm the chief wastewater operator for the village of Huntley.
So we're going to talk about our SCADA system this morning. Just a little background. SCADA, it's an acronym, stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And so what is SCADA exactly? It's software. And we're going to show you how we gather information from our remote sites throughout the village and how we feed them into our SCADA software system. So just give a little background on what Adrian and I are responsible for. It says utilities, but it's basically water and sewer department. So all in all, we have 25 different sites that we're responsible for, and that includes 2 wastewater plants, 5 water treatment plants, 5 elevated storage tanks or water towers, and 13 lift stations, sanitary lift stations. So that's 25 sites throughout the entire village that we monitor on a daily basis. And hopefully we'll show you in this presentation, how SCADA helps us run our system. So we can start off. So the first picture you're seeing is our server station at the West Wastewater Plant. Located there on the right, you'll see a Dell server box. That's where our server is located. And then there's some individual computers on the left there with our SCADA screens up. So as I was saying before, all the information that's we gathered throughout the village ends up in that black box. And SCADA, the software, is what you see on the left, and we got some screenshots too to show you what that looks like. So this is one of our remote sites. This is Wing Point Lift Station. It's a sanitary lift station. It's in the Wing Point subdivision. And it's quite a bit here. Top middle is our antenna. Right is the control panel for the station. So lower left is where we're getting to the meat of it. That black box in the corner of the lower left, that's the radio. That's what transmits the data from this remote station to our master station. And right next to that black box,
You can stand up straight. You don't need to lean.
yeah. So that the white box next to the radio is the PLC for that station. So the program to run this lift station is inside that PLC, and the radio is what transmits information back to the West Plant Master Station. Lower right, another picture of the controls for that station. Something to point out also, our system, our telemetry system is line of sight. So we need a clear shot from that antenna to the West Plant in order to transmit the data. So it's not a, it's not a system that has a frequency that we purchase. So each of the 25 sites has a similar setup to this, with the radio, computer, and antenna setup. Okay, this slide is our well number 9, that's at the west plant. And the picture on the left is the outside of the control panel. That screen you see there it's called OIT, it's Operator Interface. And that lets the operators that are there at the plant see what's going on and make changes to the plant as needed. And the picture on the right is the inside of that cabinet. Similar setup to Wind Point Lift Station. The top, we have our PLC, which actually runs the plant. And lower, kind of see the radio there, midway down that picture. So this is the fun stuff. This is the actual SCADA screen. This is what we see when we log in. So we took some screenshots yesterday. So this is current information. So what you're looking at is the well overview screen. As I mentioned earlier, we have 5 water treatment plants or wells. And this is some of the data that's coming in from each station. So we got, for instance, well number 9, you see our flow rate, well flow rate, finish rate. Number underneath that well 9 indicator is the aquifer level. We have transducers in our aquifer so we can see how much water's down there. And that helps quite a bit. Top right, you have a breakdown of our towers, and it says how full they are, what percent they are full. So this is a good overview just to see how the plants are running. Another well and valve screen here. This is where we can run the plants off any tower. So the way I have it set up now is well 9 or tower 4, well 9. That's our controlling tower. So the 5 wells look at that tower's height to determine when to turn on and when to turn off. And then we have the delay for the computer. Sometimes you get an inadvertent spike in a number and it comes back down. So that's why I have a delay for the start and stops. So they'll start right away. Lower part of the screen is our altitude valve controls. So each water tower has a valve at the base where we can literally turn on or off the water tower. And that is really important when we're pumping and we need to move water to a different part of town. There's a lot to take in there, but it's basically showing the current level of the tower 1, got the close set point. So when a tower hits 28.5, that valve closes, the tower doesn't overflow, and the water keeps pushing into the system. We got current pressure, open pressure. Those numbers, all the numbers you see are based off equipment at the plant. These aren't made up numbers, these are always changing when we're live. So the open set point, when the pressure drops to that number I have in there, that's when the tower opens up again and returns to service. And then further to the right, we have valve controls. We can use a well to control the valve or do it a different way. And then we also can choose which well the valve closes on. So you can have, for instance, well 9, tower 4, you can have that close off of a different well if you wanted to. So a lot of options here for us to control our system. Another one of our screens, this is our tower overview. Gives a good snapshot of where the towers are at, alarm set points. We got high and low level alarms. And that's another thing about SCADA that's really important is this system calls us out. When there's a problem, it sends out alarms to us and lets us know there's a problem. And then we can log in from home, determine if you need to go in, need to turn something off. We can make that determination.
And it also helps with staffing at all the facilities, so we can keep a minimal staff and use this to control everything. Like back in the day, you know, sometimes we would just come in and something would be messed up, and then, you know, it could have been too late. We could have saved it, we could have fixed it, you know. But here we can turn everything off and then fix it the next morning, or if it's important, we'll come in at 2, 3 in the morning, whatever. But it helps minimize the staffing, so it saves money on personnel.
Yeah, and that's a major part of it. You know, SCADA allows us to monitor these sites 24/7. Without SCADA, you're checking the facility in the morning and checking at night, and then before you go home, you hope things will be running good. But with this system, we can see what's going on. We can head it off if need be.
And also a lot of other villages and cities, they staff their sewer plants and water plants 24/7. Is it on? Yeah. Yeah, better. Sorry, thank you. Other cities and villages run shifts, first, second, third shift, and we only run one shift, 8 hours, 6:30 to 3. So then this takes over for us. So just to see how important this is, for sure.
So this is one of our individual well screens. This is well number 11. This plant is in the Talamar subdivision. There's quite a bit on there, but it shows basic. The layout of the plant that it's showing is how it looks out there. When they design these, they model them after our plans. So a typical water treatment plant that we have in town, ion exchange. I can see from home all this information. I can tell how the plant's running. I can reset alarms and do all kinds of things. Yeah. I mentioned before our aquifers, we have transducers down in our aquifers. And this screen is showing our aquifer levels, our pump down, or in a specific capacity. Just kind of a general overview of our wells. Communication screen, so we can turn on and off communications. And this is strictly for the alarms. So the plant will still communicate, there'll still be data coming into SCADA. It's just not gonna call us. So, yeah. So I'm kind of transitioning here to wastewater. Yeah.
All right, so this is the East Wastewater Treatment Plant. You got your return sludge and waste activated sludge over to the right here. And then all the levels and the flow, influent flow and effluent flow. Influence coming in, effluence leaving. So we're doing about 830,000 gallons a minute right there at the time of this picture. The raw sewage pumps are down at the bottom here. We have 6 pumps. They all pump about 1,000 gallons a minute. And C pump 2 is running right now. And then we have our blowers just providing air to the sludge to keep it mixing and whatnot. So we can monitor all that. And again, wastewater is the same as water. We can get alarms and we can determine if we need to come in or whatnot. All right, this is a gravity belt thickener. So basically, we take sludge into the machine here and just dewater it, basically. So this gives us our belt drive, different pumps that are running, any faults or alarms, so we can stay on top of that. This is our screening building. So this is at the headworks of the plant. So this takes out anything about 1/4 inch or bigger, and so it protects other equipment downstream of the sewer plant. And again, it tells what's running. There's an auger and a grinder and whatnot at different levels of the wastewater coming in. All right, this is a pretty important one. So this is the raw station at the West Plant. So the West Plant is where everything from Del Webb goes. So we have 5 pumps, pumps 4 and 5 to the right over there. They pump about 2,500 gallons a minute. And pumps 1, 2, and 3 pump about 1,000 gallons a minute. So if we have a problem at this station, then we're coming in because that's where it all starts. If that goes down, then it starts moving back towards the houses. We don't want that.
We don't either.
Right. So this is just an overview of the whole plant. So we have 3 ditches, 6 clarifiers over white domes, and yeah. So then different flow totals are totaled every day, every morning for us. And so like let's see, 6/6/2023 we did 1.2 million gallons in a 24-hour period. So this is the lift station. So if you can look, middle bar all the way to the right, Sun City lift station, and then we have a Del Webb top center. The Del Webb lift station, the top center one is by the maintenance shed right off Del Webb Boulevard. If you go in that little nook back there, and then Sun City is by the softball field right back there. So we have 13 lift stations. And we have 10 over here, so the other 3 are just really small stations that they just run like an industrial park or something like that. And so they only run during the day a lot because people are working, right? So that's what that is. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just to reiterate, SCADA is software, and our system feeds the data into SCADA. So we're happy to show you this. Adrian and I have been working on this system since 2006. It's it's never ending. We're always making improvements, and so it's been a lot of years putting this together and getting it to look like it does. So we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, thanks for letting us talk to you. Any questions?
Have you seen changes in the aquifer level?
No, they're really consistent up here. Yeah, I mean, we monitor it just as a normal procedure, but yeah, we haven't seen any huge change.
I see that there's a sign for a new well over by Walmart. When do you expect that to be online?
Most likely the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025.
What kind of security do we have on our wells and the sewer system?
Yeah, that's a good question. On our wells, we have an alarm system. So if someone enters the building, it will call me and say intrusion alarm. And most of our sites are fenced. So that's.
Everything's locked. All the wet wells and everything have locks on them. We have a couple of alarm stuff on the wastewater side also.
On the effluent, is that automated, the monitoring for public health, like bacteria content and things, or is that on somebody else takes care of that?
Yeah, we monitor how much chlorine we feed into the water, and that determines your effectiveness. So that's something we monitor on a daily basis. And we didn't show a screen here, but there's a SCADA screen where it shows our residual and an alarm screen. So if that residual falls out of the set points, it'll call me.
Where does that effluent go?
The effluent from the wastewater plants goes to the Kishwaukee West Branch, South Branch?
Yeah, the south branch of the Kishwaukee River. And then also another really cool thing, I think, the West Plant irrigates the golf course out here. The effluent does. So we reuse on that.
Yeah, we send about 160 million gallons to the golf course over the summer.
I have a couple questions. What would happen if everybody flushes their toilet at 9 o'clock in the morning? 5,000 people to hear.
We would be running around a lot. We'd be running around making sure all the pumps are running right, right? During the Super Bowl, at halftime, we see a spike. Really, it happens.
Another question, what is the water treatment plant chemicals used, or is that electronic, or what kind of software is that? It's in the water plants, they have software tanks.
Yeah, correct. Those are ion exchange tanks. So we salt soften the water. And then we add 3 chemicals per IEPA, chlorine, fluoride, and polyphosphate.
It's basically a bigger version of a house softener.
It's like an industrial
It's
version.
just huge, instead of the little in the house.
Do you get a call if some of the fire hydrants go on? Or is that all automatic?
I would get a call if there was a loss in pressure suddenly. And we've had breaks where I've gotten calls and notified that a tower dropped fast. And if they'll call me, let me know.
Or a fire too, because if the firemen are using a lot of water, it'll take the tower down. Awesome.
Got a question relative to future communities around here. Many of them have shallow wells into the shale level. You have deep wells, and that was because of the terrain that we're associated with. Is that an advantage that we're on the deep wells and should have no concern about water availability for Huntley, whereas some of our communities are going to have to start putting in pipes from Lake Michigan?
Yeah, well, as far as capacity, we're totally fine. Like I said, we monitor the aquifer, so we would know if something is getting drawn down too far or we're in need of more water. But from where we're at, we're in good shape.
One of the questions I would have asked is, this water softener treatment, how many water districts or cities do water treatment like this?
I think all
And
towns.
Henry.
All towns do some sort of treatment on their water.
But the softener.
Yeah, it just depends on their source water. If your source water is shallow well, you're gonna have different types of filters, like iron filters and things like that. So it all depends on where you get your source water from, what's in that source water, and how do you meet EPA regulations. That's the huge thing. That's what we're gunning for every day. So that's the important part is meeting the EPA requirements.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
We have one more. We have one more question.
Okay.
Daily between 5 and 6 p.m., I notice an increase in water pressure. Is that something that's intentional or my imagination?
That's a loaded question. Yeah, it's not intentional. It could be just the way the water use goes. We see more water use in the mornings. People are waking up, taking showers. So from 6 to noon or 6 to 10, you'll see higher water use than you'll see in the afternoon. And at night, when people come home, you see more water use because people are home. But the wells run based on set points. So they're very consistent that way. So every day they're turning on at 28 feet and turning off at 35.5. So we're keeping a very short window in these towers to maintain good pressure. Every foot of water is 2.31 psi. So you don't want to drop too low. That's why we have them turn on. At 28 feet, we don't let it drop below that.
Should the water softening that you do eliminate the need for water softeners in the houses in Sun City?
Yeah, definitely. I've run across people that have softeners. It's more of a personal preference. Some people like really, really soft water. They like that slippery, slimy, doesn't lather, but some people like it. And you run across people that just like, I love slimy water, and they have a softener. So it's personal preference, and any type of secondary treatment, whether it's like an activated carbon or fridge filter or under the sink filter system. No matter what you have, it's up to the individual homeowner.
How much water equipment did Sun City put in when they built our division out, or subdivision?
They built the well number 9, and then the wastewater plant, phase.
2 lift stations
Yeah, 2 lift stations.
and the tower.
You have 5
The water that comes out of your sewage treatment plant, where does that water go?
In Kishwaukee Creek, the West Plant's effluent now is going to the golf course for summer months, but all the other times of the year, it's going straight to the creek.
How many trailer loads of slush do you get rid of every year?
We haul 4 times a year.
4 times?
4 times, how much is it, like 400 tons?
Yeah, I think it's 3,000 cubic yards.
It's like 3,000 cubic yards each time we haul.
What in total?
Yeah,
Yeah.
total.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
How long does it take from a farthest residential house you have for the sewer water to get to your treatment plant?
I don't exactly know the answer to that question, but from the time it comes in the plant to the time it leaves, it's about 18 hours.
And it could be variables on the other end, really a lot.
Correct.
Guys, thank you very much. Very informative stuff we would otherwise not know about. We'll see you all back here next month for our artificial intelligence